Novels have historically provided insight into the values, struggles, and ambitions of different cultures and eras. Unlike other forms of literature, novels allow for complex characters and in-depth explorations of psychological and social issues. They are mirrors of society, reflecting its virtues, vices, and evolution. Novels influence literature in a profound way, setting the stage for literary movements and altering the trajectory of fiction. Many novels on this list were pioneers of narrative techniques such as stream of consciousness, magical realism, and unreliable narration, which are now foundational elements in contemporary writing. Their influence stretches beyond the world of literature. They have impacted art, theater, and film, becoming cultural touchstones that continue to inspire generations of creators and thinkers. We will explore the timeless classics that are considered essential reading. These works are masterpieces of storytelling but also reflect diverse worldviews, historical periods, and genres. 1. Don Quixote, by Miguel de Cervantes. Don Quixote, written by the Spanish author Miguel de Cervantes in two parts, 1605 and 1615, is often regarded as the first modern novel. The story was written during the Spanish Golden Age, a time when Spain was experiencing both cultural flourishing and political decline. Cervantes, a former soldier and prisoner, drew upon his own experiences of adversity and societal change in his depiction of the protagonist's delusions. The novel satirizes the popular literature of chivalric romances, which were prevalent in Spain at the time. The novel follows Alonso Quixano, an aging gentleman from La Mancha, who reads so many chivalric tales that he loses his sanity. He decides to become a knight-errant and adopts the name Don Quixote. Accompanied by his loyal squire, Sancho Panza, he embarks on a series of adventures, believing himself to be the hero of a noble quest to revive chivalry. His most famous misadventure is attacking windmills, which he perceives to be giants. The novel weaves in elements of farce and tragedy, exploring the difference between Don Quixote's ideals and the real world. One of the central themes of Don Quixote is the tension between reality and illusion. Don Quixote's idealized vision of the world often clashes with the brutal realities he encounters. The novel explores the concept of honor, delusion, and the human need to create meaning in an indifferent world. At the same time, Cervantes touches on the themes of friendship, loyalty, and self-awareness through the relationship between Quixote and Sancho. Another important aspect of the novel is its deep engagement with the concept of narrative itself, as it questions the role of literature and storytelling in shaping human experience. Don Quixote is considered a groundbreaking work in the history of literature. It is one of the first novels to offer a deep psychological portrait of its characters, particularly Don Quixote, who is portrayed not as a hero but as a tragic figure whose fantasies shape his reality. The novel also pioneered the use of metafiction, wherein Cervantes acknowledges the act of writing and the relationship between the reader, the writer, and the text. Its influence can be seen in countless works, from the novels of Charles Dickens to modern postmodern literature. The impact of Don Quixote extends far beyond literature. The term, quixotic, has entered the language, describing someone who pursues impractical or unrealistic ideals. The novel has been adapted into numerous films, plays, and operas, underscoring its enduring relevance. Quixote's relationship with his squire Sancho Panza has become emblematic of the mentor-pupil dynamic, and the novel's exploration of delusion and idealism remains a powerful theme in discussions of individual versus society. 2. Moby-Dick, by Herman Melville. Published in 1851. Moby-Dick was initially met with mixed reviews, but it has since become one of the most celebrated American novels. Set against the backdrop of the American whaling industry, it reflects the complexity of 19th-century America, its relationship with nature, and the emerging debates around race, morality, and human ambition. Melville's own experience as a sailor informs much of the novel's vivid depiction of life aboard a whaling ship. The novel follows Ishmael, the narrator, who joins the whaling ship Pequod under the command of the obsessive Captain Ahab. Ahab's sole purpose is to hunt down the great white whale, Moby-Dick, which had previously maimed him. As Ishmael recounts the voyage, the novel delves into Ahab's obsession, the dynamics aboard the ship, and the perilous journey through the oceans. The pursuit of Moby-Dick becomes a metaphor for humanity's struggle against fate, nature, and self-destruction. Moby-Dick is a deeply philosophical novel that explores themes such as the nature of obsession, the power of the sublime in nature, and humanity's search for meaning. Ahab's relentless pursuit of the whale represents the dangers of single-minded obsession, while the vast, indifferent sea symbolizes the forces of nature that cannot be controlled. The novel also explores existential questions about the nature of good and evil, identity, and the randomness of fate. The dynamic between Ahab and Ishmael also speaks to the theme of survival and the complexity of human relationships. Moby-Dick is considered a masterpiece of American literature and an important work in the genre of American Romanticism. Melville's use of symbolism, especially in the character of the whale, has been the subject of extensive analysis. The novel's unconventional structure, which alternates between narrative and philosophical musings, has made it a cornerstone of modern literary analysis. Its influence can be seen in the works of authors like Joseph Conrad and William Faulkner. Though initially overlooked, Moby-Dick has become one of the most important works in the American literary canon. It has inspired numerous adaptations, including films, stage productions, and even operas. The figure of Captain Ahab has become iconic, symbolizing both the pursuit of knowledge and the destructive power of obsession. Moby-Dick continues to inspire discussions about the relationship between man and nature, the limits of knowledge, and the consequences of unchecked ambition. 3. War and Peace, by Leo Tolstoy. War and Peace was first published in 1869 and is widely considered one of the greatest works of world literature. It is set during the Napoleonic Wars, 1805 to 1815, a period of intense political and social upheaval across Europe. Tolstoy's detailed portrayal of Russian society, its aristocracy, and its military forces is both historically accurate and deeply philosophical. The novel explores the effects of war on individuals and nations, offering a panoramic view of Russian life during a tumultuous period. The narrative weaves together the lives of several families, most notably the aristocratic Bolkonskys, the Rostovs, and the Bazhukovs, all of whom are affected by the Napoleonic Wars. Pierre Bazhukov, the novel's central character, inherits a fortune and struggles to find meaning in his life, while Prince Andrei Bolkonsky seeks glory in battle, and Natasha Rostova navigates the complexities of love and loss. The story spans over a decade, following the personal, political, and military events leading up to the defeat of Napoleon. The novel concludes with an exploration of the quiet, peaceful lives of its characters after the war. War and Peace examines the effects of war on both individuals and society, emphasizing the futility and destruction of war, as well as the transformative power of peace. The novel contrasts personal ambitions and struggles with the larger historical forces at play, exploring the tension between fate and free will. Key themes include the nature of leadership, the impact of personal choice, and the philosophical inquiry into the meaning of life. Tolstoy's exploration of the nature of history and historical events is also central, as he critiques the idea that great men alone shape history, instead proposing that the actions of everyday people collectively create historical movements. Tolstoy's use of multiple narrative perspectives and his in-depth psychological portrayal of characters were revolutionary. War and Peace is recognized for its innovative treatment of time, as Tolstoy moves freely between the personal and historical, sometimes offering minute details of everyday life and at other times zooming out to consider vast societal and historical forces. The novel's narrative style, with its seamless blending of historical events with fictional characters, influenced future generations of novelists, particularly in how to balance personal drama with grand historical scope. War and Peace has had a profound effect on Russian literature, establishing Tolstoy as one of the leading authors of his time. It continues to be a touchstone in literary studies and has inspired numerous adaptations, including films, television series, and stage productions. The novel's portrayal of the Russian aristocracy and its philosophical reflections on life, war, and peace have resonated deeply with readers around the world. It remains a foundational work for understanding the complexities of Russian culture and the human condition. 4. Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Published in 1866. Crime and Punishment marks the beginning of Fyodor Dostoevsky's exploration of psychological depth and moral complexity. The novel is set in St. Petersburg, Russia, a city that mirrors the mental and moral turmoil of its protagonist, Rodion Raskolnikov. Dostoevsky wrote the novel during a period of intense personal and political upheaval, having experienced imprisonment, exile, and financial hardship. His own experiences of guilt, suffering, and moral conflict informed the novel's exploration of the human psyche. Crime and Punishment follows Rodion Raskolnikov, a former student who believes himself to be superior to others and capable of committing a crime for the greater good. He murders Alyona Ivanovna, a pawnbroker, hoping to use the stolen money for self-improvement and to enact some broader moral plan. However, his guilt consumes him, and he begins to unravel mentally and emotionally, plagued by paranoia and moral doubt. As Raskolnikov grapples with his crime, he encounters various characters, such as Sonia Marmeladov, a humble and devout woman, and Porfiry, the intelligent police detective, who challenge his philosophy and ultimately lead him to confront his own humanity. The novel explores the tension between rationalism and morality, as Raskolnikov's theory of being an extraordinary man, who is above the law, is thoroughly tested by his emotional and psychological descent. Central themes include guilt, redemption, and the nature of evil. Dostoevsky delves into the idea of suffering as a path to spiritual awakening, contrasting Raskolnikov's nihilism with the selfless suffering of Sonia. The novel also explores the role of poverty, fate, and human connection, highlighting the inner moral conflicts that define the human condition. Crime and Punishment is often hailed as a pioneering work in psychological realism, as it delves deeply into the complexities of the human mind. Dostoevsky's portrayal of Raskolnikov's internal conflict, as well as the moral dilemmas of his other characters, was groundbreaking. The novel is significant for its exploration of the psychological effects of guilt and the philosophical exploration of free will, fate, and morality. It influenced the development of existentialism and was particularly important for 20th-century writers such as Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus. The novel's exploration of crime, punishment, and the moral struggles of the individual has made it a key text in both philosophical and psychological studies. It remains a key part of the Western literary canon and continues to influence literature, film, and philosophy. The character of Raskolnikov has become an archetype of intellectual and moral conflict, while the novel's themes of existential despair and redemption resonate with readers today. 5. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Published in 1813. Pride and Prejudice emerged during the Regency era, a time of strict social conventions in England. Austen's sharp critique of class structures, marriage, and gender roles was revolutionary for its time, offering a satirical look at the world of the British landed gentry. Despite its seemingly light-hearted romantic plot, the novel subtly addresses issues of social class, marriage, and morality. Austen herself was an observer of social norms, often using wit and irony to critique societal expectations. The novel follows Elizabeth Bennet, the intelligent and independent-minded second daughter of a country gentleman, as she navigates the complex social hierarchy of Regency England. Elizabeth's initial disdain for the wealthy and aloof Mr. Darcy gradually turns to love as she learns of his true character. The novel centers on their evolving relationship, but it also features the romantic misadventures of Elizabeth's sisters and the contrasts between characters like the charming Mr. Wickham and the honorable but reserved Mr. Darcy. At the heart of Pride and Prejudice is the theme of personal growth, as both Elizabeth and Darcy must overcome their own prejudices and pride to find happiness. The novel critiques the social class system, particularly the way it restricts the choices of women. Marriage is explored as both a social contract and a romantic ideal, with Austen emphasizing the importance of mutual respect and understanding. The novel also highlights the complexity of human nature, with its rich characterizations of vanity, ambition, and virtue. Pride and Prejudice is widely regarded as one of the finest novels in the English language. Austen's use of free indirect discourse allows readers to understand the thoughts and feelings of her characters without overt narration. Her wit, irony, and critique of societal norms revolutionized the genre of the novel, influencing subsequent writers, especially in the realms of social satire and romance. Austen's work has continued to influence writers of the modern novel, from Virginia Woolf to modern chick lit authors. The novel has become a cultural touchstone, with numerous adaptations for stage, screen, and television. The characters of Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy have become iconic figures in literary and popular culture, symbolizing both the ideal of romantic love and the tension between personal independence and social expectations. Pride and Prejudice has become a foundational work in feminist literary studies and remains a beloved classic for its timeless exploration of love, class, and individual growth. 6. The Great Gatsby, by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Published in 1925, The Great Gatsby is set during the Roaring Twenties, a period in American history marked by economic prosperity, cultural upheaval, and the rise of materialism. Fitzgerald's novel captures the essence of the Jazz Age, a time when the pursuit of the American dream was at its peak. However, beneath the glittering surface of wealth and excess, Fitzgerald explores the emptiness and moral decay that accompany this pursuit. The novel was initially met with mixed reviews but has since become a defining work of American literature. The novel is narrated by Nick Carraway, a young man from Minnesota who moves to West Egg, New York, in the summer of 1922. There, he befriends Jay Gatsby, a mysterious and wealthy man known for his lavish parties. As Nick learns more about Gatsby's past, he discovers that Gatsby's wealth and social status were acquired in an effort to win back his lost love, Daisy Buchanan. Daisy, married to Tom Buchanan, is both Gatsby's ideal and his tragic obsession. The novel's tension builds as Gatsby's pursuit of Daisy leads to his eventual downfall and death. The Great Gatsby is a critical exploration of the American dream, questioning its promise of success and happiness through hard work and ambition. Gatsby's tragic end serves as a commentary on the corruption of the American dream, as his wealth, which he believes will restore his lost love, is built on crime and deception. The novel also delves into themes of love, illusion, and identity, as Gatsby's idealized image of Daisy contrasts with the reality of who she is. The novel's exploration of social class and the divide between old money, the Buchanans, and new money, Gatsby, reveals the inherent inequalities in American society. Fitzgerald's use of symbolism, such as the green light on Daisy's dock and the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg, is one of the most analyzed aspects of the novel. The novel's modernist style, which blends traditional narrative with innovative techniques, makes it one of the key works of the early 20th century. Its exploration of disillusionment, identity, and the loss of innocence resonates deeply with readers, marking it as a seminal text in American literature. The Great Gatsby has had a profound influence on subsequent writers, particularly in the realm of modernist and postmodernist fiction. The novel has achieved iconic status in American culture, frequently referenced in literature, film, and popular media. Its portrayal of the Jazz Age, with its excess and moral ambiguity, has influenced not only literary discourse but also our collective understanding of the era. The character of Jay Gatsby, with his self-made wealth and unattainable dreams, has become a symbol of tragic ambition. The novel's commentary on class, wealth, and the illusion of the American dream continues to resonate with contemporary audiences, making it a timeless work. 7. 100 Years of Solitude, by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Published in 1967, 100 Years of Solitude is a cornerstone of the Latin American literary movement known as magical realism. Garcia Marquez's novel is set in the fictional town of Macondo and spans several generations of the Buendia family. The novel is not only a key work of Latin American literature but also a profound commentary on the region's political, social, and historical struggles. Garcia Marquez wrote it during a period of political unrest in Colombia and across Latin America, reflecting both the cyclical nature of history and the influence of colonialism on the region. The novel follows the Buendia family, starting with José Arcadio Buendia, who founded the town of Macondo. Over the course of several generations, the family experiences love, betrayal, war, and death, all while being affected by the magical and surreal events that occur in their town. The novel's central focus is on the inevitable repetition of history, as members of the Buendia family continue to repeat the mistakes of their ancestors. Themes of isolation, fate, and the tension between tradition and modernity are explored throughout the narrative. 100 Years of Solitude is a meditation on the nature of time, memory, and the cyclical patterns of history. The novel's magical realism allows Garcia Marquez to blend the fantastical with the ordinary, creating a world where the supernatural and the mundane coexist. The theme of solitude is central to the novel, as characters are isolated both physically and emotionally, often trapped in their own personal and collective histories. Garcia Marquez also critiques the political turmoil and social inequalities in Latin America, presenting a vision of history as a series of unlearned lessons and unbroken cycles of suffering. Garcia Marquez's innovative use of magical realism, where the extraordinary is treated as ordinary, has been one of the defining characteristics of the genre. The novel's structure, which mixes generations of family history with allegories of political struggle, was groundbreaking in its fusion of realism and fantasy. 100 Years of Solitude has influenced writers across the globe, particularly those working in the tradition of magical realism. It is one of the most widely translated works of modern literature and a key influence on postmodern narrative techniques. The novel has had a profound influence on both Latin American literature and global storytelling. It is considered one of the most important works in the Spanish language and has contributed to the cultural identity of Latin America. 100 Years of Solitude has inspired numerous adaptations, including plays, films, and visual art. Its exploration of the human condition, isolation, and the intersection of myth and reality continues to captivate readers and scholars worldwide. Garcia Marquez's work has cemented his place as one of the most influential authors of the 20th century. 8. 1984. By George Orwell. 1984 was published in 1949, in the aftermath of World War II and the rise of totalitarian regimes in Europe and Asia. Orwell's novel is a direct response to the growing threats of fascism and communism, particularly the authoritarian governments of Stalinist Russia and Nazi Germany. The book reflects Orwell's concerns about the loss of individual freedoms, the manipulation of truth, and the dangers of totalitarian rule. The dystopian society depicted in 1984 serves as a chilling warning about the potential future of a world dominated by surveillance, propaganda, and state control. Set in a totalitarian society controlled by the party. 1984 follows Winston Smith, a low-ranking member of the party who works in the Ministry of Truth, altering historical records to align with the party's ever-changing narrative. Winston begins to rebel against the oppressive regime, secretly reading forbidden literature and starting an affair with Julia, a fellow party member. The novel explores Winston's inner conflict and his growing awareness of the party's control over truth, language, and history. Ultimately, Winston is betrayed, captured, and subjected to brutal re-education, culminating in his complete submission to the party's ideology. 1984 explores themes of totalitarianism, surveillance, propaganda, and the manipulation of truth. Orwell critiques the use of language as a tool for political control, particularly through the concept of newspeak, a language designed to eliminate unorthodox thoughts. The novel also examines the loss of personal autonomy in a society where individuality is suppressed. Winston's struggle against the party symbolizes the human desire for freedom and truth, while his eventual defeat underscores the terrifying power of a totalitarian state. The novel raises questions about the nature of reality, the control of knowledge, and the manipulation of history. 1984 is considered one of the most important dystopian novels of the 20th century, influencing political thought and discussions of civil liberties. Orwell's use of language and propaganda techniques has become a key reference in political discourse, with terms like Big Brother, doublethink, and thought crime entering the popular lexicon. The novel's portrayal of surveillance and government control resonates deeply in today's discussions of privacy, technology, and authoritarianism. Its exploration of language, power, and truth remains relevant in contemporary debates on media, politics, and social control. 1984 has had a profound cultural impact, inspiring countless adaptations, references, and discussions. The novel's depiction of a society under constant surveillance resonates with modern concerns about privacy, state surveillance, and the rise of digital authoritarianism. 1984 remains a powerful critique of government overreach and the dangers of unchecked political power, serving as a cautionary tale about the loss of freedom and individuality in a highly controlled society. 9. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Published in 1960, To Kill a Mockingbird is set in the American South during the 1930s, a period marked by racial segregation and economic hardship. Harper Lee wrote the novel during the Civil Rights Movement, when the United States was grappling with issues of race, justice, and equality. The book, which deals with racism, prejudice, and moral courage, became an immediate success and has since become a staple of American literature, often included in school curriculums for its exploration of social justice. The story is narrated by Scout Finch, a young girl growing up in Macomb, Alabama, during the 1930s. Scout's father, Atticus Finch, is a respected lawyer who defends Tom Robinson, a black man falsely accused of raping a white woman, Mayella Ewell. The novel follows Scout's coming-of-age journey as she witnesses the trial and its aftermath. The story explores themes of racial inequality, moral integrity, and the loss of innocence, as Scout and her brother Jem grapple with their understanding of justice, good and evil, and the complexities of human nature. To Kill a Mockingbird deals with themes of racial injustice, empathy, and the moral imperative to do what is right, even when it is difficult. Through the character of Atticus Finch, the novel presents the ideal of standing up for justice and truth, even in the face of overwhelming prejudice. The book also examines the loss of innocence as Scout and Jem are forced to confront the harsh realities of racism and social inequality in their small southern town. The novel's title refers to the idea of harming something innocent, as symbolized by the mockingbird, which represents purity and kindness. Harper Lee's novel is widely regarded as a masterpiece of modern American literature. Its accessible prose, memorable characters, and thought-provoking themes have made it a touchstone for discussions on race, justice, and morality. To Kill a Mockingbird is often cited for its moral clarity and emotional depth, particularly in its portrayal of Atticus Finch as a model of integrity and wisdom. The novel has been analyzed for its exploration of Southern culture and its critique of the social and racial dynamics of the time. The novel has had a lasting impact on American culture and literature. It has been widely read and studied, often cited as a catalyst for discussions on race relations and social justice. The character of Atticus Finch has become a symbol of moral courage and integrity, while the novel's exploration of prejudice and injustice continues to resonate with readers in contemporary society. To Kill a Mockingbird remains a vital work in the conversation about race, equality, and the quest for justice in America. 10. The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. Published in 1951, The Catcher in the Rye captures the disillusionment and alienation of post-World War II America. The novel reflects the angst and confusion of adolescence, a theme that resonated with the growing youth culture of the 1950s. Salinger wrote the novel during a time of societal change, where traditional values were being challenged, and young people were beginning to question the norms of their parents and society at large. The novel follows Holden Caulfield, a 16-year-old boy who has been expelled from several prep schools and is struggling to find his place in the world. Over the course of a few days in New York City, Holden reflects on his life, his relationships, and his feelings of alienation. He seeks meaning in a world he feels disconnected from, often criticizing the phoniness of adult society. The novel ends with Holden's breakdown and his eventual decision to seek help, symbolizing his need for personal growth and understanding. The Catcher in the Rye is primarily concerned with the themes of alienation, identity, and the loss of innocence. Holden's resistance to the adult world and his desire to protect children from the harsh realities of life reflect his internal struggle with growing up. The novel also addresses mental health issues, such as depression and anxiety, as Holden grapples with feelings of isolation. Salinger's portrayal of Holden's voice, authentic, unfiltered, and rebellious, has made the novel a defining work of adolescent literature. Salinger's novel was revolutionary for its portrayal of adolescent angst and its unflinching look at the struggles of young people. Holden Caulfield became an iconic literary figure, representing the disillusioned youth of the post-war generation. The novel's stream of consciousness style, in which Holden's thoughts and reflections are presented in a fragmented, almost erratic manner, is a hallmark of modernist literature. The novel's candid treatment of sensitive topics like mental health, sexuality, and alienation marked a shift in literary norms. The Catcher in the Rye became a touchstone for generations of young readers, particularly those who felt alienated or misunderstood. Holden's critical voice and his rejection of societal norms made the novel a symbol of rebellion and disillusionment. The novel's influence extends beyond literature, inspiring countless references in music, film, and other forms of popular culture. Despite controversies over its content, The Catcher in the Rye has remained a foundational text in the study of American literature and adolescent psychology. 11. Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Published in 1866, Crime and Punishment is set in St. Petersburg, Russia, during a period of social, economic, and political upheaval. Dostoevsky wrote the novel in the wake of his own personal struggles, including his experiences in a Siberian labor camp and his grappling with ideas about morality, free will, and existentialism. The novel reflects the tensions in Russian society during the late Tsarist period, marked by rapid urbanization, poverty, and the questioning of traditional values. Dostoevsky's exploration of psychological and philosophical dilemmas in this work addresses both individual and societal crises. The novel follows Rodion Raskolnikov, a young student in St. Petersburg who believes he is intellectually superior and above the moral laws that govern ordinary people. He plans and carries out the murder of Alyona Ivanovna, a pawnbroker, with the idea of using her money for the greater good. However, the crime doesn't go as planned. Raskolnikov is overwhelmed with guilt and paranoia, which leads to his eventual mental unraveling. Throughout the novel, Raskolnikov struggles with his conscience, the nature of crime and punishment, and his interactions with other characters, including Sonia Marmeladov, a prostitute who becomes a source of compassion for him. Crime and Punishment is primarily a philosophical novel, exploring themes such as morality, guilt, redemption, and the human condition. The central question the novel addresses is whether a person can be justified in committing a crime for a perceived greater good. Raskolnikov's belief in his own superiority and the concept of the extraordinary man leads him to rationalize murder, but the novel illustrates the profound psychological consequences of such actions. The idea of suffering as a path to redemption is also a central theme, especially through the character of Sonia, whose selfless compassion represents a counterpoint to Raskolnikov's existential crisis. Crime and Punishment is regarded as one of the greatest works of literature due to its deep psychological insight and its exploration of existential questions. Dostoevsky's ability to depict the inner turmoil of his protagonist has influenced a wide range of writers, especially in the realm of psychological and philosophical fiction. The novel's intense focus on Raskolnikov's internal struggle makes it a groundbreaking work in the exploration of character psychology. Dostoevsky's exploration of guilt, suffering, and redemption influenced later existentialist writers such as Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus. The novel has had a lasting impact on literature, philosophy, and psychology. Raskolnikov's inner conflict and moral dilemmas have made him one of the most studied and analyzed characters in literature. The novel's exploration of the nature of crime, punishment, and moral justification remains relevant in contemporary discussions about justice and ethics. Dostoevsky's work has influenced countless works of literature, as well as fields such as criminology, philosophy, and psychology. The novel continues to be studied for its rich, complex characters and its exploration of the human psyche. 12. The Brothers Karamazov, by Fyodor Dostoevsky. The Brothers Karamazov, published in 1880, is Dostoevsky's final and most ambitious work. Written during a period of personal reflection and societal change in Russia, the novel explores themes of faith, doubt, free will, and the search for meaning. Dostoevsky was influenced by the intellectual movements of the time, particularly the growing debates between atheism and religion. His own spiritual journey is reflected in the complex religious and philosophical themes of the novel, which is set against the backdrop of 19th-century Russian society, grappling with social change and moral crises. The novel centers on the Karamazov family, consisting of the father, Fyodor Pavlovich, and his three sons, Dmitry, Ivan, and Alexei. The family is torn apart by the father's debauchery and neglect, and each of the sons grapples with their own moral and existential dilemmas. Dmitry is passionate and impulsive, Ivan is an intellectual who questions the existence of God, and Alexei is a deeply spiritual novice monk. The novel reaches its climax with the murder of Fyodor Pavlovich, and the investigation into the crime reveals the deep philosophical and ethical conflicts between the brothers. The story explores the nature of human freedom, the problem of evil, and the search for faith. The Brothers Karamazov is a philosophical novel that addresses fundamental questions about existence, morality, and religion. One of its key themes is the problem of evil. How can a benevolent God allow suffering and injustice in the world? This is explored through the character of Ivan, who questions the existence of God in light of human suffering, particularly the suffering of innocent children. The novel also examines themes of free will, guilt, and redemption, particularly through Dmitry's struggle with his passions and Alexei's search for spiritual truth. The characters' varied responses to their moral dilemmas highlight the complexity of human nature and the eternal search for meaning. The Brothers Karamazov is considered one of Dostoevsky's masterpieces and one of the greatest novels of all time. Its exploration of complex philosophical themes, such as the existence of God, the nature of evil, and the search for moral truth, has influenced a wide range of writers and thinkers. The novel's narrative structure, which intertwines the personal struggles of the Karamazov brothers with deep philosophical discussions, was groundbreaking in its approach to integrating intellectual and emotional elements in literature. The novel's profound exploration of human consciousness has made it a major influence on existentialism and 20th-century thought. The novel's exploration of religious, philosophical, and ethical questions has had a significant impact on theology, philosophy, and literature. The Brothers Karamazov has been widely studied for its treatment of faith, doubt, and the nature of good and evil. The character of Ivan, with his famous rebellion against God's justice, has become an iconic representation of intellectual doubt and moral questioning. The novel continues to be influential in discussions of existentialism, theology, and the human condition. Its deep psychological insight and its exploration of the tensions between reason, faith, and emotion have made it a lasting classic in world literature. 13. The Trial, by Franz Kafka. Published posthumously in 1925, The Trial was written by Franz Kafka during a time of social and political turmoil in Europe, particularly in Austria-Hungary, where Kafka lived. The novel reflects Kafka's personal struggles with authority, bureaucracy, and the sense of alienation that characterized much of early 20th century life. The rise of modernism and existentialism also influenced Kafka's writing, which often focuses on the absurdity of existence and the loss of individual autonomy. Kafka's own experiences with oppressive bureaucratic systems and his sense of powerlessness are deeply reflected in the novel. The Trial follows Joseph K., a young banker who is arrested one morning by mysterious agents, though he is never told what crime he is accused of. Despite his efforts to understand the charges and navigate the bizarre and labyrinthine legal system, Joseph becomes entangled in a nightmarish trial that seems both absurd and inescapable. As the trial progresses, Joseph faces the relentless forces of bureaucracy and the looming sense of doom that permeates his existence. The novel ends ambiguously, with Joseph's execution by a faceless authority, leaving questions of justice, guilt, and fate unresolved. At its core, The Trial is an exploration of the absurdity of existence and the alienation of the individual in a bureaucratic and impersonal world. The novel examines themes of power, guilt, and the fragility of human existence in the face of overwhelming and arbitrary systems. Kafka's portrayal of Joseph K.'s helplessness in the face of an incomprehensible legal system is a metaphor for the existential struggle of the individual against forces beyond their control. The novel's surreal, nightmarish atmosphere creates a sense of unease and underscores the absurdity of modern life, where personal agency and meaning are often elusive. The Trial is one of Kafka's most famous works and is considered a masterpiece of modernist literature. Its exploration of bureaucratic oppression, existential anxiety, and the absurdity of life influenced a wide range of writers, particularly in the realms of existentialism and absurdist fiction. Kafka's distinctive style, blending surrealism with biting social critique, has made The Trial a foundational text in the study of modernism and existential thought. The novel's depiction of a faceless, inhuman bureaucracy has resonated with readers in many different historical contexts, making it a timeless critique of modern society. The Trial has had a lasting impact on literature, philosophy, and popular culture. The term Kafkaesque has come to describe situations where individuals are caught in a nightmarish, absurd, and often hopeless struggle with bureaucratic or authoritarian systems. The novel has influenced a wide range of works, particularly in the genre of dystopian fiction, and its exploration of alienation and existential anxiety continues to resonate with contemporary readers. Kafka's ability to capture the alienation and absurdity of modern life has made The Trial an enduring and influential work in global literature. 14. The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Published in 1925, The Great Gatsby is set in the Roaring Twenties, a decade marked by economic prosperity, social change, and cultural upheaval in the United States. The novel reflects the era's contradictions. While there was material wealth and indulgence, there was also a profound sense of disillusionment and moral decay beneath the surface. The Jazz Age, with its emphasis on excess, glamour, and the American dream, provides the backdrop for Fitzgerald's critique of the American society of the time. This period, however, was also the end of an era, as the Great Depression loomed on the horizon, making the novel's exploration of social class and the pursuit of happiness more poignant. The story is narrated by Nick Carraway, a young man who moves to West Egg, a wealthy area on Long Island, and befriends his enigmatic neighbor, Jay Gatsby. Gatsby is a self-made millionaire who throws extravagant parties in hopes of rekindling a romance with Daisy Buchanan, a married woman he once loved. Nick becomes involved in Gatsby's world and is witness to the tragic consequences of Gatsby's obsessive desire to recapture the past and achieve the elusive American dream. Ultimately, Gatsby's pursuit of love and wealth leads to his downfall and death, and Nick reflects on the hollowness of the American dream. The Great Gatsby explores themes of the American dream, social class, love, and illusion versus reality. The novel critiques the notion of the American dream, portraying it as an illusion that promises success and happiness but often leads to corruption, emptiness, and disillusionment. Gatsby's obsessive pursuit of Daisy symbolizes the unattainability of the American dream, as his idealized vision of her and his past cannot be realized in the present. The novel also examines the distinction between old money and new money, as well as the moral decay hidden beneath the surface of wealth and privilege. Fitzgerald's novel is considered a quintessential American work, with its exploration of class, ambition, and the hollowness of the American dream resonating across generations. The novel is known for its rich symbolism, including the green light at the end of Daisy's dock, which represents Gatsby's unattainable dreams. Fitzgerald's use of language, with its lyrical, evocative prose, creates a vivid and haunting portrayal of 1920s America. The Great Gatsby is often regarded as one of the greatest American novels, praised for its exploration of social themes and its deep psychological insights into the characters. Though not initially recognized as a major success, The Great Gatsby has since become a staple of American literature and has had a lasting impact on the way American society and culture are viewed. The novel has been adapted into film, theater, and other media, becoming a symbol of the Jazz Age and the pursuit of the American dream. Gatsby's character, with his lavish lifestyle and tragic end, has become iconic, representing both the allure and the inherent dangers of materialism and ambition. The novel is frequently taught in schools and universities, and its themes continue to resonate with contemporary readers. 15. Moby-Dick. By Herman Melville. Published in 1851. Moby-Dick was written during a time when the United States was in the midst of significant economic, social, and political changes. The novel reflects the growing industrialization of America, as well as the importance of whaling in the economy, particularly in the New England region. Melville's own experiences at sea as a sailor influenced the novel's realistic depiction of life aboard a whaling ship. The mid-19th century was also a period of growing philosophical inquiry, with movements such as transcendentalism and romanticism influencing Melville's approach to themes of nature, existence, and the human condition. The story follows Ishmael, a sailor who joins the whaling ship Pequod, captained by the obsessive and vengeful Captain Ahab. Ahab is fixated on hunting down Moby-Dick, a giant white whale that had previously maimed him. As Ishmael and the crew venture across the seas, Ahab's obsession grows, and the pursuit of Moby-Dick becomes a symbol of mankind's struggle against the forces of nature and fate. The novel culminates in a dramatic and tragic encounter with the whale, resulting in the destruction of the Pequod and the death of Ahab. Ishmael alone survives to tell the tale. Moby-Dick is a profound exploration of obsession, fate, and the human condition. The novel examines the dangers of unchecked obsession through the character of Ahab, whose single-minded pursuit of the whale leads to his and his crew's destruction. It also explores the relationship between humanity and nature, with the whale symbolizing both the sublime and the unknowable forces of nature that man cannot control. The novel touches on themes of free will, the meaning of life, and the search for knowledge, all while incorporating elements of existentialism and philosophy. The ambiguity of the whale itself, whether it represents evil, nature, or some cosmic force, adds to the novel's philosophical depth. Moby-Dick is considered one of the great American novels and a cornerstone of world literature. It was initially met with mixed reviews and commercial failure but is now regarded as a masterpiece of literary complexity. Melville's narrative style, blending realism with elements of the Gothic, the philosophical, and the symbolic, has influenced generations of writers. The novel's use of symbolism, particularly the white whale as a symbol of the unknown, is widely studied and has contributed to its lasting legacy. Moby-Dick is also known for its detailed exploration of whaling, the sea, and 19th-century American life. While initially overlooked, Moby-Dick has since become a touchstone in American literature and is frequently cited as one of the greatest novels in the English language. The novel's themes of obsession, fate, and man's struggle against nature have made it relevant across time periods and cultures. Its influence extends beyond literature, appearing in films, plays, and other cultural references. Ahab's character, in particular, has become iconic as a symbol of destructive obsession. Moby-Dick continues to be studied for its rich symbolism and philosophical depth. 16. To Kill a Mockingbird, by Harper Lee. Published in 1960. To Kill a Mockingbird is set during the Great Depression in the American South, a time when racial segregation and discrimination were entrenched in Southern society. The novel was written during the Civil Rights Movement, which sought to challenge and dismantle institutional racism in the United States. Harper Lee's portrayal of racism, justice, and morality in the fictional town of Macomb reflects the social and political climate of the 1930s while also resonating with the struggles of the 1960s. The novel is narrated by Scout Finch, a young girl growing up in Macomb, Alabama, during the 1930s. Scout's father, Atticus Finch, is a principled lawyer who defends Tom Robinson, an African-American man falsely accused of raping a white woman, Mayella Ewell. Throughout the trial and its aftermath, Scout witnesses the deep-seated racism and injustice in her community. The novel explores the themes of moral growth, empathy, and the loss of innocence as Scout and her brother, Jem, grapple with the complexities of human nature and society. The central theme of To Kill a Mockingbird is the moral and social injustice of racism. Through the trial of Tom Robinson, the novel critiques the deeply ingrained racial prejudices that permeate the American legal and social systems. Atticus Finch's defense of Robinson represents a moral stand against the unfairness of racial segregation. The novel also explores themes of empathy and understanding, as Scout learns to see the world from the perspectives of others, particularly through the figure of Boo Radley, a reclusive neighbor who symbolizes the misunderstood and marginalized. To Kill a Mockingbird addresses the loss of innocence as Scout and Jem's idealistic view of their community is shattered by the harsh realities of racism and injustice. To Kill a Mockingbird is widely regarded as one of the most important works in American literature. Its exploration of race, morality, and justice has made it a powerful and enduring work. The novel's clear moral vision, embodied in the character of Atticus Finch, and its sensitive treatment of complex social issues make it a cornerstone of discussions about American history and culture. The novel's success both as a critical work and a popular bestseller has cemented its place in the literary canon, and it continues to be a staple of school curricula. The cultural impact of To Kill a Mockingbird has been immense. The novel has influenced countless readers and has played a significant role in shaping public conversations about race, justice, and morality in the United States. Atticus Finch has become a symbol of integrity and moral courage, and the novel is frequently cited as a transformative text in the fight for civil rights. The book's impact extends to film, theater, and popular culture, and its themes continue to resonate with readers and viewers, making it a timeless work in the fight against racial inequality. 17. The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. First published in 1890, The Picture of Dorian Gray was written during the late Victorian era, a time of strict social norms and moral conservatism. Wilde's novel, which explores themes of hedonism, vanity, and the consequences of indulgence, challenged the moralistic expectations of the time. The novel's emphasis on beauty and the pursuit of pleasure over conventional morality stirred controversy, and it was initially censored due to its implied critiques of Victorian society's moral rigidity and the underlying homoeroticism. The novel centers on Dorian Gray, a handsome young man whose portrait, painted by artist Basil Hallward, ages while he remains youthful and beautiful. Under the influence of Lord Henry Wotton, a cynical aristocrat who advocates the pursuit of pleasure and self-gratification, Dorian leads a life of indulgence and decadence. His portrait, however, becomes a physical manifestation of his moral corruption and sins. As Dorian descends further into a life of vice, the portrait grows increasingly monstrous, reflecting his inner deterioration. Ultimately, Dorian's pursuit of eternal youth and beauty leads to his downfall, culminating in his death when he attempts to destroy the portrait. The Picture of Dorian Gray addresses themes of aestheticism, the relationship between beauty and morality, and the consequences of self-indulgence. Wilde critiques the superficial nature of society, which often values outward appearance over character, and explores the dangerous consequences of leading a life devoted solely to pleasure and vanity. The novel also delves into the nature of the soul, as represented by the portrait, which acts as a mirror to Dorian's inner life. Wilde raises questions about the consequences of living without moral restraint, ultimately presenting a cautionary tale about the dangers of vanity and hedonism. The Picture of Dorian Gray is considered one of Oscar Wilde's most important works and a landmark in the Gothic novel tradition. It combines elements of Gothic horror with philosophical musings on art, morality, and self-destruction. The novel's exploration of aestheticism, which advocates the pursuit of beauty for beauty's sake, has influenced debates about the role of art in society. Wilde's witty prose, sharp social critique, and exploration of complex moral questions have made the novel a classic in English literature. It also marks a key moment in the development of the modern English novel, as it challenges Victorian sensibilities and embraces more progressive ideas about art and morality. The Picture of Dorian Gray has had a profound cultural impact, influencing literature, film, and popular culture. The concept of the portrait, as a symbolic reflection of a person's true nature, has been widely referenced and reimagined. Wilde's exploration of vanity and moral decay continues to resonate with contemporary readers, and the novel's critique of the pursuit of beauty and superficiality remains relevant in today's society. The character of Dorian Gray has become iconic as a symbol of moral corruption and the dangers of vanity. The novel has been adapted into films, plays, and other media, cementing its place in cultural history. 18. 100 Years of Solitude, by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Published in 1967, 100 Years of Solitude is a key work of Latin American literature and one of the defining texts of the Latin American boom, a literary movement of the 1960s and 1970s. The novel reflects the political and social upheavals of Colombia, particularly the conflicts between liberal and conservative forces, and incorporates elements of magical realism, a genre in which fantastical events are treated as everyday occurrences. Garcia Marquez's work is deeply influenced by the historical and political context of Latin America, and the novel's themes reflect the cyclical nature of history and the struggles of the region. The novel follows the Buendía family, whose patriarch, José Arcadio Buendía, founded the town of Macondo in the heart of Colombia. The story spans 7 generations, tracing the rise and fall of the Buendía family as they experience love, war, political unrest, and tragic destiny. Central to the novel is the concept of solitude, with each generation of the family grappling with isolation, both personal and societal. The narrative is filled with magical realism, where supernatural events are presented as ordinary occurrences, and the boundaries between reality and fantasy are blurred. The novel's cyclical structure suggests that history repeats itself, with characters doomed to repeat the mistakes of their ancestors. 100 Years of Solitude explores themes of solitude, memory, fate, and the cyclical nature of history. The novel examines the isolation of individuals and societies, with characters trapped in cycles of repetition and unable to break free from the past. Garcia Marquez uses the Buendía family as a microcosm of the larger political and social history of Latin America, depicting the way in which history is often doomed to repeat itself. The novel also deals with the theme of magical realism, where the boundaries between the fantastical and the real are intentionally blurred, creating a dreamlike atmosphere. Through this, Garcia Marquez critiques the notion of absolute truth and emphasizes the fluidity of reality. 100 Years of Solitude is widely regarded as one of the greatest novels of the 20th century and a cornerstone of Latin American literature. Its blend of magical realism and historical fiction has influenced countless writers and reshaped the way stories are told. Garcia Marquez's masterful use of language and his ability to weave complex narratives into a single, cohesive story have made the novel a defining work in world literature. The novel's innovative style and its exploration of the intersection between history, politics, and personal experience have cemented its place as a classic in modern literature. The novel has had a profound impact on Latin American literature and world literature as a whole. It introduced magical realism to a global audience and influenced a generation of writers, particularly those from Latin America, including Isabel Allende, Julio Cortázar, and Mario Vargas Llosa. The novel's exploration of family, memory, and history resonated deeply with readers, and its impact extends beyond literature to film, music, and visual arts. 100 Years of Solitude has been translated into numerous languages and remains a staple of world literature, frequently cited for its depth, imagination, and innovative storytelling. 19. The Alchemist, by Paulo Coelho. Published in 1988, The Alchemist is a modern allegorical novel by Brazilian author Paulo Coelho. Written in Portuguese, it became an international bestseller and has been translated into over 80 languages. Its universal themes of self-discovery, destiny, and personal growth struck a chord with readers worldwide, making it a global literary phenomenon. The story follows Santiago, a young Andalusian shepherd who dreams of discovering a treasure located near the Egyptian pyramids. Encouraged by a series of mystical signs and a mysterious king, Santiago embarks on a journey across the desert. Along the way, he encounters a variety of characters, including an Englishman searching for the secrets of alchemy and a wise alchemist who helps Santiago understand the true meaning of his quest. Ultimately, Santiago learns that the treasure he seeks lies within himself, and his journey symbolizes the pursuit of one's personal legend. The Alchemist centers on themes of self-discovery, destiny, and the universal quest for meaning. It explores the idea that pursuing one's dreams is the key to personal fulfillment and happiness. The novel also emphasizes the importance of listening to one's heart and recognizing the interconnectedness of all things. Koala weaves spiritual and philosophical ideas into a simple yet profound narrative, making the novel resonate across cultures and belief systems. Despite its simplicity, The Alchemist has become a literary classic due to its deep philosophical and spiritual insights. Its allegorical nature and universal appeal make it a unique work that transcends cultural and linguistic boundaries. The novel's narrative style and themes of transformation and self-discovery have influenced countless readers and writers. The Alchemist has inspired millions to follow their dreams and explore their own personal legends. Its global success highlights its universal relevance, appealing to readers from diverse backgrounds. The novel has been referenced in speeches, workshops, and artistic works, cementing its status as a modern literary classic. 20. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Published in 1818, Frankenstein was written during the early stages of the Industrial Revolution, a period marked by rapid scientific advancement and social change. Shelley's novel reflects the anxieties of the time about the consequences of unchecked scientific progress, as well as the ethical questions surrounding the manipulation of nature. The novel also engages with romantic themes, such as the sublime, the dangers of hubris, and the consequences of human ambition. The novel tells the story of Victor Frankenstein, a young scientist who becomes obsessed with creating life. He succeeds in bringing a creature to life but is horrified by its appearance and abandons it. The creature, rejected by society and its creator, becomes vengeful and seeks to destroy Frankenstein. The novel is framed by the story of Robert Walton, an explorer who encounters Frankenstein in the Arctic and listens to his tale. Through Frankenstein's narrative, the novel explores themes of creation, responsibility, and the consequences of playing God. Frankenstein explores themes of ambition, creation, isolation, and the ethical limits of scientific discovery. Frankenstein's desire to transcend natural boundaries and create life ultimately leads to his downfall, making the novel a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition. The creature, though initially innocent, becomes a monster due to the rejection and isolation he faces, raising questions about the nature of humanity and the role of society in shaping individuals. Shelley's novel also engages with the idea of the sublime, the powerful and overwhelming forces of nature that humans cannot control. Frankenstein is considered one of the earliest works of science fiction and a seminal Gothic novel. Its exploration of the consequences of scientific experimentation and the ethical dilemmas surrounding the creation of life have made it a key text in both literature and philosophy. The novel's portrayal of the monster as a tragic figure, rather than a mindless villain, has influenced subsequent portrayals of monsters in literature and film. Shelley's work has also been credited with shaping the genre of horror fiction, particularly in its exploration of the darker aspects of human nature and ambition. Frankenstein has had a profound impact on popular culture, spawning numerous adaptations in film, theater, and television. The image of Frankenstein's monster, with his patchwork body and bolts in his neck, has become an iconic symbol of horror. The novel's exploration of scientific experimentation and the consequences of playing God remains relevant, particularly in contemporary discussions about genetics, artificial intelligence, and bioethics. Frankenstein is also considered a foundational work in the Gothic and horror genres, influencing countless stories about monsters and the dangers of unchecked ambition. The novels explored in this collection represent some of the most influential works in the history of literature, each one contributing in unique ways to our understanding of the human condition, society, and culture. From the philosophical musings of works like Crime and Punishment and 1984, to the sweeping historical narratives in 100 Years of Solitude and War and Peace, these novels offer timeless insights into the nature of power, identity, morality, and the complexities of life itself. Many of these works, whether through their exploration of dystopian futures, the lives of complex characters, or the intersection of history and fiction, have inspired generations of readers and thinkers. Don Quixote, for example, redefined the novel as a genre, blending humor with deep existential reflections, while Moby-Dick pushed the boundaries of narrative structure and literary style, influencing the direction of American literature. In addition to their literary brilliance, these works often challenge readers to reconsider their views on society. For instance, To Kill a Mockingbird serves as both a powerful critique of racial injustice and a heartfelt exploration of human decency, while Frankenstein raises profound ethical questions about the limits of scientific discovery. Novels like The Great Gatsby and The Catcher in the Rye dive deep into the struggles of individual identity within the broader framework of societal expectations, making them perennial favorites for readers grappling with the challenges of growing up. Moreover, many of these works engage with the broader political, social, and cultural landscapes of their time, offering critiques that resonate across generations. Whether it's the oppressive societal forces in The Handmaid's Tale, or the alienation and the crisis of modernity in Ulysses, these novels speak to the concerns of their respective eras while remaining universally relevant. Ultimately, these top 20 novels have transcended their time and place of origin, providing a rich tapestry of stories that continue to inspire, challenge, and provoke reflection. They are more than just narratives. They are mirrors to our deepest fears, desires, and aspirations. By understanding these works, we not only gain insight into the minds of some of the greatest authors in history but also a better understanding of the world in which we live, and the world that has yet to come. The impact of these novels extends far beyond the written page, shaping the discourse of politics, philosophy, and even the way we view ourselves and others. In a world constantly changing, these novels remain as crucial as ever, reminding us of the power of literature to change lives, provoke thought, and ultimately, shape the future. Their endurance in the cultural imagination is proof of the lasting power of a well-told story to transform not just individual lives, but the world itself.